Thanks a lot. And thanks everyone for sticking around. I know there's quite a big crowd here. It's been a very, very big conference. I think one of the advantages of coming later in the conference and talking is that you can have the advantage of telling everyone that you're leaving the best to last. And certainly the talks over the last half an hour or so have been pretty unbelievable. So hopefully I can live up to that one now. Moving forward, we'll go to our obligatory disclaimer that I'm sure everyone will read carefully later. And we'll go into some key points. So the thing is about Tempest is that we're a de-risked multi-commodity company. So I heard someone earlier mention about not focusing on one commodity too much, and I learnt that one early in my career is that you always got to have your eyes open for multiple things, and we'll talk more about that later. We're certainly attractively priced at the moment, and compared to the potential that we have in the company, I think that we're extremely underpriced actually, but I probably get in trouble for saying that. And we've got a whole stack of news flow which we're going to have coming forward in the next few months, so I hope everyone pays attention for that one. A bit about the company for anyone that doesn't know. I know there's a few people here that are certainly aware of Tempest. There's a quick snapshot for you. We're, as I said, very modestly valued. Our projects are focused here in Western Australia, and we have some investments around the world as well. We have some funding. While it says we have 1.5 in cash there, we also have a sizable investment which we're planning on investing to move forward in our exploration. So we're well funded to do the work that we need, contrary to some of the commentary online. We have an amazing team. We've got, particularly at the chair there, we've got Brian Moller, who many of you may know for SolGold fame and many other companies on the ASX. We've also got Andrew Haythorpe, myself, and Owen Birchall. We're all experienced guys. We've all built mines. We've all found things, and we're just looking forward to doing it again. A lot of companies talk about sustainability as kind of a footnote, and a few people have heard me talk about this. This is a starting point. So smart business, especially in the modern world, is you do things well, sustainability-wise, and your business is successful. It shouldn't be something you think about later. So if anyone wants to talk to me about that, we can certainly later. Innovation. As the previous speaker spoke about, there's always people looking for what makes us different. That's one of the things, is we're using technology in ways that quite frankly, no one else is. And for a small company of our size, we're certainly punching well above our weight. That picture there is an example. That's what's called a box scan. It's a unit out of the UK, and we put all our samples, everything goes through there, and we get objective data, which then we can model in real time. There's no people sitting there typing in Excel. It's about automation. We live in the most expensive jurisdiction for wages in the world. We shouldn't be paying anyone to do things manually if we can avoid it. So that's the approach that we're taking, and it's having some success. At our projects, you can see that, as I said, they're all focused in Western Australia. We've got a bit of a spread and a spread of commodities as well. Our highlight project is the Yalgoo project. Many of you will have heard me talk about this before. The story here is, if you look at the top of the picture to the bottom, it's about 100 kilometres as the crow flies. And you can see there's at least half a dozen world-class mines there. And two speakers ago, we talked at length about that, and the Mount Gibson project at the bottom there. So this is a mature jurisdiction. It's been explored for a lot of time, but there's still a lot of opportunities coming up, and that's where we come in. We've identified that much of the interpretation geologically is quite simply, let's say it has some issues, and you can see the bright green colour. They're just some of the opportunities that we've identified over time. And we prove that. So I'll talk more in a moment about that, but where it says Orion, I want you to think about that one just in a moment. I'll go back for a second. Other thing about the Yalgoo region is it's only a few hundred kilometres north of here. The infrastructure is massive. There's power, water, rail, 2 highways, telecoms. It's very, very easy to do work. So that's also a big competitive advantage for us when we're doing things. So earlier I mentioned the Orion. So 2 years ago, almost to the day, 2 years ago, I stood up here and said, that we'd identified this new belt in Yalgoo. So it's a long strike from Golden Grove and a number of other quite famous operations. And we found that the same rocks continue where there'd never been a lease before. Certainly no exploration and no drilling. And so 2 years ago, I said, we're going to drill the first hole into that, and we did. And at that time, you can see the picture on the top right there, at that time, we drilled a 1,000-metre hole. That was our starting point for doing that. So we're out here to do proper science and find things. And lo and behold, that first drill hole had 3 ore bodies in it. Unfortunately, none of them were economic grade in the first hole, but it was the first hole. And we've got 50 kilometres of the same rocks that we haven't explored yet. And we're just doing that bit by bit. So also things that we've been doing, you see the top left there, we flew a region-wide EM survey last wide. So that's a pretty serious one. And that came up with a whole heap of targets. Also, while we've been doing our exploration out there, we've been picking away at different targets around. And one of those targets also correlates with, let's just say, a pretty serious anomaly in that EM survey that you can see in the top left. And that's what we're going to talk about next. If it changes over. There we go. Okay. So that's called the remorse target. And this came about, so I just said to the geos, I'll be transparent, I said to the geos, when you've got nothing to do, go out there and collect soil samples in that area, because no one's explored there either. And we didn't think much of it. There's nothing particularly outstanding at the surface to tell you there's something there. But when we looked at the data sometime later, we came up with this. So if you look at the red and the blue area there, the red represents copper and the blue represents zinc. And that's pretty exciting because it's very rare. I'll be honest, as a geologist in my career, I've very rarely seen such a coherent anomaly in the soils. It's very strange. And then when we flew that geophysical survey, it also pointed right to the dead center of that. And so that's about as good as it gets in exploration for a target that you want to drill. So we've been waiting for some approvals, which seem to be coming through now, and we'll be mobilising very soon to go and drill that. So when we drilled our first hole into this project 2 years ago, let's just say there was some excitement in the market about, and we may have gone for a bit of a run. That wasn't even based on looking for mineralisation. That was a science hole. This one, we think there's something there. So I think everyone should be certainly looking at our story very closely for the potential. Just south of that, only a kilometre or so south of that, we've got our neighbours, Warrior Resources. They're drilling, and I believe they've got a resource there now. And directly along strike, we've got very strong gold anomalism. So either as part of the remorse drilling or sometime after that, we'll be drilling here as well. So we've got a whole stack of things planned for 2024. And we also have some other projects. I wasn't going to focus on this one, but the person who put this project has kindly come down to watch me today, so I will mention it in passing as well. The Range project in Mount Magnet. So we're due south of Ramelius Resources, and you can see there's one of the historic pits. A few thousand tonnes were mined there, and it's just a matter of geometry. There was some exploration done along strike from that pit, and they didn't find anything. You go off a little bit, we looked at the data closely, and bang, we found the same kind of mineralisation sticking out at the surface. So there's a whole bunch of tourmaline breccia there, and rock chips of 1 gram per tonne. So we're going to be drilling that sometime in the near future too. Somebody mentioned an elephant earlier. I'll try not to trumpet on too long today, but this is a lookalike for Tropicana in the middle of the Albany-Fraser region. Happy to talk to everyone about it if you come and have a chat at our booth. Similarly, we've got ground along strike from Rumble Resources and their giant lead zinc copper discovery, which early stages we're getting into as well. Lots of news flow coming up, multiple drilling programs. Stay tuned. And make sure you visit our website where we've got our investor hub, and you can see every announcement we've done and watch videos of me talking about it in more detail.